Hello, we'll just get started with our event today. So today we are hosting the International Career Days for St. Lawrence College as part of Open House. Today's event is about computer sciences and we're focusing on North, Central, and South America. Thank you for being here on a Sunday. It's nice that you were able to take some time out of your weekend to be with us. My name is Zoe Harris. I am one of the regional managers for international recruitment at St. Lawrence College. So in my portfolio, I have North America. I've recently taken on Brazil and Africa. I also work on our new and emerging markets and our digital marketing. And I'm joined today by three of our wonderful recruitment coordinators. Would you like to introduce yourselves? I'll start with Andrea.
Yes, thank you, Zoe. I am Andrea Escalera, and I'm a recruit coordinator for Mexico and Central America region. Hello.
And Laura?
Thank you, Zoe. Good morning. I'm Laura, based in Mexico, with the same office with Andrea, and covering Mexico and Central America. Thanks.
And Anna?
Hey, I am Anna. I'm the recruitment coordinator for Brazil. So that means I'm in Brazil.
Thanks, everyone. And we also have a super special guest today, one of our very own SLC students, Duquois, is joining us. So we'll be playing a short video from one of our program coordinators, James Dupuis of the Game Programming program. So we'll start with this short video to talk about one of our most popular programs at the college. And afterwards, we'll get into a really engaging discussion with our wonderful student who's joined us today. So I am going to do my best to share my screen. So please let me know if you can hear. No sound?
No, we can't hear.
Okay. We will try this in a different method. There's always something, right? There's always one technical difficulty. Okay, let's try now.
No, not yet.
Nope, not yet.
No?
I think when you share your screen, I think there is something saying if you want to share like only the screen or the audio too. I think you need to click for the audio to be played. It always happens to me, so that's why, that's how I know. I'm the worst one to play videos when sharing my screen.
Yeah, I haven't had to share my screen, especially with a video on Zoom before. So bear with me on this one.
Yeah.
And thanks for your patience.
Okay.
Program.
Did we get it that time?
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm James Dupuis.
Perfect. Anna, you were right.
I've been there, done that.
All right. So we'll start this from the beginning. So again, this is James Dupuis. He's the program coordinator of our game programming program.
Hi, I'm James Dupuis. I'm the coordinator for the game programming program at SLC. We are a 2-year program located at the Cornwall campus, and we teach you how to become game programmers from the ground up. We start by teaching you C++, the programming language, and we introduce C#. We also cover other kind of languages like JavaScript and Python as we go along. The first year or so that we cover a lot of the foundational kind of just general programming concepts that you're going to use in any sort of programming job, whether it be web development, application tools, or games. And as we kind of go through that first year, we study out some of the concepts of what makes up a game and the individual components and what's specific about games in relation to programming versus application tools and web. As we continue on, we dive into game engines. We learn a bit more about those kind of core components that make up a game in almost every single game scenario. We implement some gameplay mechanics. We look at save systems. We look at networking, graphics programming, AI, and all kinds of fundamental just game concepts that apply to most genres. That way you get a feel for all the different ways that we can look at programming and the different things that we're going to need to implement. And so that is what our program entails. If you have any further questions for myself or about the program or anything like that, you can feel free to reach out to me. My email address is jbdupuis@sl.on.ca. So that is spelled jbdupuis@sl.on.ca. So reach out to me if you have any further questions. I'd be glad to hear from you. Bye.
All right, and that was James Dupuis, our program coordinator for game programming. And now into the most exciting part of our event today. We'll be talking to Duquois, one of the students at St. Lawrence College. Duquois, do you mind giving yourself a quick introduction and telling us what program and stage of your program you're in?
Sure. I'm Duquois, and nice to meet you guys. And I'm a second-year student studying computer programming and analysis. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Duquois. Duquois, you also are a student employee with our department, the International Recruitment Department at St. Lawrence College, and you've been working with us for what feels like forever, but has been just under a year now.
Yeah, it's been about 7 or 7 months, probably.
Yeah. So you've been a wonderful asset to our team and are managing to stay up to date, and I imagine in excellent standing with your program, as well as performing to the best of your ability in your current role with us. So Duquois, how would you describe the experience that you've had so far at SLC, both studying and working?
First of all, for studying, I would say it's been very, I've been very happy, and it's way better than I expected, because I worked in finance in Korea for over 5 years. So it was a really big transition from working from finance to studying computer programming. So it was a huge challenge for me. But I think the course is very well structured for beginners. So even beginners don't have to be too much worried about kind of how to follow up the courses or subject. So, and plus, I have been able to meet a lot of warm-hearted and kind of people, including friends, professor, and the coworkers, and which is a big help for me get accustomed with kind of living in Canada. So yeah, and for work, yeah, it is true that, and Zoe and Alex and other very good colleagues have helped me a lot, even though I made some mistakes or something like that. So, and I think I think it was really lucky for me to be able to study and work at the same time. So yeah, I'm always grateful. I'm always grateful for this. So I'll highly recommend it to everyone.
Thanks, Duqua. It's so nice to hear that you've had such a positive experience so far. I'm going to pass the next question on to Anna, our recruitment coordinator from Brazil.
Hi, thank you, Zoe. Duqua, let me ask you, if you had to describe your program in your own words, like how would you talk about it, like to your friends and to your family when someone asks you, what is your course like, your program, what do you learn? How would you describe, like in a friendly way, to your friend?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, I would say the one thing that I would highly recommend is our course is very well structured for beginners. I think that's one of the most important things, and because the course doesn't consider that students that have already any background or knowledge about computer programming. But of course, it is true that some of the students have already studied or even worked as a developer, but that's not. But that we can't control over something like that. So the point is, the course is a very beginner friendly, and plus there are some I would say programs which would definitely help students follow up with students even once they find themselves kind of following up with a course. So there are something like there is a program called peer tutoring, which students are able to have a tutoring one-on-one where sometimes group, and it is all free. So if students feel they have a hard time following up students, then they can get a lot of help from a lot of sources.
That's awesome. Were you a beginner, or you had contact with the game programming before starting your program?
I was totally beginner, but
okay.
After I quit my job, there were 2 or 3 months that I had. So I was too worried about living in Canada and studying something new, because it is my first time to live outside of Korea. So I mean, English is not first language, and computer programming wasn't my kind of a familiar thing. So I ended up studying a little bit beforehand, but it wasn't mandatory, I'll say.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the first questions that I receive from my students interested in the game programming, is because they don't have any contacts. They haven't had any contacts before with the program. So they're like, oh my God, am I going to be able to study it? Because I need to know from the bottom, like from the ground. So it's good to know that it happened to you. And from what we can see, you've been successful. So thank you, and success for you always.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks, Duqua. One of the things that you mentioned during your response was our peer tutoring resource, which I think is a great option for students. You know, if you're finding it's a little bit tricky during one of your courses, or you're having a little bit of issue with one of your programs, you can always reach out and take advantage of that resource. Our peer tutors are upper year students, so we have student tutoring other students, and you know, if you become an upper year student and are doing exceptionally well in your program, you always have the opportunity to help other students who might be in their first or second years. So the next question is going to come from Laura.
Thank you, Zoe. So, Dukwa, can you tell us how has your program helped you to discover new career opportunities in your field in game programming?
Could you please say it again?
Yeah, how has your program helped you to discover new career opportunities in your area, in your field?
Oh, okay, thank you. Other than the fact that the course is very well structured for beginners, and I would say our program has work placement in the last year, so students are able to get a chance to work in at least a year, so which normally lead them to start working after graduation. So that is a really good chance, probably. And there's one thing that I wanna say. The course is also very kind of as flexible as the kind of the market demands. I mean, the course curriculum is fixed in the first place, but each subject can be modified depending on the kind of market demanding or something like that. So students are able to learn various languages or skills that is very essential for them to get a job in later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Duqua. I think the work placement is such an important part of so many of the programs that we have at St. Lawrence College. So with the work placement, the length might depend a little bit on which program that you're in, but you get real hands-on experience working with either a local employer, you can do your placement virtually in many cases, and because it's a computer science area of study that we're talking about today, being able to take advantage of doing a virtual placement instead of having to travel to somewhere that's like Toronto or Ottawa that might have bigger companies that are based there. You're able to stay where you are on your campus, Kingston, Brockville, or Cornwall, and get that experience from your home office where you've been studying for so long. And that experience that you get learning from an employer and the other people that you'll be working with in those opportunities, it gives you that hands-on experience that is so important, and it allows you to apply all of the things that you've learned in the program to a real life example. And I'm going to pass it on to Andrea for another question.
Yes, thank you. Well, Duqua, you mentioned that this is your first experience studying abroad. So what advice would you give to others that are thinking to do it, that are thinking to go to Canada and study? What do you advise to them?
I think that's very tough question, but I want to say that, I mean, what works for me might not work for others. So I think because everyone has a different situation. So please take it with a grain of salt. And I would say the first thing I wish I had done more is study English, because I mean, international students don't have to be an expert of English, but at least we gotta be able to understand at least roughly what others are saying. So I think English is kind of essential, and because it'll be way convenient for people to get accustomed to living in Canada, and I think students don't have to be too much afraid of something new, because I found that there are always some people that would be willing to help me if I need. So I think it is a good idea to ask something or ask anything once you find yourself struggling with something like that. So I think that kind of an attitude is very important.
Perfect. No, you're right. It's good not to be afraid to ask for help. I think that's a basic, no? So thank you, Duqua.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Duqua, and thanks, Andrea. Duqua, you bring up another few really important topics. This is no doubt why you were the perfect guest for this event today. So one of the things that you brought up was studying and learning English before you come to Canada and before you start your academic program. So we have 2 English language programs at St. Lawrence College. One is our POET program, or our POET program, which has personalized online English training, where you work directly with one of our English tutors and you get that personalized English language learning experience, and that will help someone who is a little bit more versed in the English language increase their IELTS or Duolingo score if they're looking to get just that little bit more ahead. And we also have our IEOP program, our Integrated English Online program, that's more intensive. It's a little bit longer, and it is for students who have less experience with the English language. And you can take that a number of times to achieve the level that you need to either get accepted into your academic program or to achieve your goals. So Duqua, was there a resource or a tip that helped you with your English language skills?
I'm not sure I'm qualified with this question. So, if I knew the answer, I might be different from someone.
Okay. So why don't I ask, how did you first learn English? Did you use something online? Did you go to a tutor in person?
I mean, for me, I've used various kinds of English kind of stuff, kind of YouTube or some YouTube or some, and I try to kind of shadowing with Netflix or kind of or something like that, and I try to listen to podcasts a lot and something like that. But there's one thing I can say for certain is you gotta be exposed to a lot, no matter what it is. So that is the most important thing, I guess.
Yeah, those are great tips. YouTube videos, podcasts, just having it around and in your environment is just to get that kind of exposure, is so important, because as soon as you come to our campuses or come to Canada, it'll be all around you all the time. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions for Duqua?
Maybe you can tell us about what is, I don't know, the most that you like about the city, your experience with the city.
Yeah.
I love living in Kingston because I love being outdoor. I love kind of exercise while walking around and running outside. And I don't like living in big city. So with that being said, Kingston is the best city at least for me. But I sometimes see people kind of Kingston is a boring city, because I would say there's not nothing, but there's a little bit there are not many places for for young people. So you might find Kingston a little bit boring, but I love this peaceful environment and people. So
it's the right city for you, no?
Yes, that is.
Okay, yeah.
It's very small city.
Thank you.
I have a question, Duqua. Well, you mentioned that your background is finance, no? So why the change to computer and science? what was the change? I mean, it's interesting because it's a completely different field.
Actually, I had been interested in computer programming before I quit my last job, even though I studied economics when I was young, and there were several reasons, but I think to get a job in Canada after graduation, because my ultimate goal is to get a permanent residency afterward. So getting a job is very important factor. So to get a job, I think it was a good idea for me to study computer programming. So that was the main reason for me.
Great. I ask you that because some students we have, maybe that study other completely different fields, they are afraid sometimes it could be a big challenge to change completely. But I think it's good to do it like a complement. And you have to look for careers that are going to be successful in the country that you are going. So I think that's a very good advice. Thank you, Duqua.
Yeah, anytime. And there's one thing that I want to say is actually there are some, especially some international students, who don't follow well with the courses. So kind of they often fall behind almost every courses. But I think it's not because of their English. It's just because of the commitment of the course. I mean, the course has a lot of topics that to cover. So students have to spend additional at least 5 or 10 hours in a week studying topics. But I don't know why, but some students don't do that. So they usually fall behind, and they ended up losing their interest in studying or something like that. So students should spend additional hours.
Okay, that's very good to know. Thank you.
Thanks, Duqua. And you know, it's interesting to hear that sometimes students, you know, they get into a program at the college and it's just not the right fit for them. It's very different when you've come all the way from your home country, and even, you know, changing your background, like something from finance or economics into computer science. That's a pretty big risk. That's a pretty big change for a lot of people. And if there are any students that, you know, find themselves in that circumstance, they're not loving their program, they're having some difficulty, there are lots and lots of resources that students can use on all of our campuses and online, like the peer tutoring that we've talked about. They can reach out to our English language department if they need help with the language itself. And they even have the option to reach out to a student success facilitator to talk about why they're not necessarily being successful in this program. And if that program isn't the right one for them, we will do everything in our power to find that program that matches their needs and interests. And, you know, we have over 80 different programs at the college that are available to international students that vary in length and topic and work placement opportunities. So, you know, if there is a student that doesn't necessarily find that they found that perfect match for them on the first try, we'll make sure that they definitely do on their second try. Does anyone else have any more questions for Duqua or any more comments about computer science at St. Lawrence College?
Well, I have one last question, Duqua.
Yeah.
In the program, how did you find the mix of nationalities? I mean, how many other international students you find, or how many domestic? That would be good to know.
Let me see. Because of COVID-19, we kind of our class is separated into two groups. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'll say less than 10%.
Okay. And do you remember the nationalities?
India and India. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think most international students in my course are from Asia.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Juqua, and great question, Andrea. It's always very interesting to hear what the nationality and diversity mix is in each of our programs, and that your program is actually split into two right now, Juqua, partially because of the pandemic, and I imagine because you're doing some of your courses on campus and some of your courses online, so it's a little bit trickier in terms of your schedule right now, but it's nice that you live so close to campus and you have a very nice home office set up so that you can do both. All right, well, if there's no other questions for Duquois, I think that's where we'll end the event for today. So thank you again so much, everybody, for attending and taking the time out of your Sunday afternoon to meet with us. And it's been so nice to see your faces and have such a wonderful conversation. The recording of this video will be available for any interested prospective students and the rest of the members of our team in the next few days. So please stay tuned. And if you have any other questions, we'll provide our contact information for you as well so that you can follow up, email us, talk about applying to any of these exciting programs. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Duqua.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Duqua. See you guys
Thank you
soon.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.